Hello and welcome to Stress Less with me, Jess. Today, my special guest is Charissa H. Young. Hello, Charissa.
Hello, Jessica.
I'm so excited to have you on here. Obviously, I've been stalking all your pictures. So let's tell everybody why you're so amazing. You're
Aw, you're too sweet. I'm Charissa H. Young. My company is Charissa H. Young Photography, and I'm a New Jersey personal branding and portrait photographer. I'm in Northern Jersey, so I usually do photo shoot around Northern Central Jersey, a little bit of Rockland County, just depending on where my clients are. I mainly work with service-based business owner to create photos for their marketing needs, whether they're planning to update a website or they are hiring a marketing agency to do the social media marketing. I think that's having those photos of them. And I'm very into personal branding because I did it myself and it has really, really helped my business. So that's something I'm really passionate about, helping other service-based business owner who may not have like a tangible product to show. They are either through transformation or they have some sort of service, a coaching or some sort of business that really hard to explain what they do or show the results. So it's building the personal brand to build the trust with your ideal clients so they can come find you on Google or wherever they find you.
I like that you explained that part because I think, especially as a service-based person myself, it's, oh, I don't have a product to showcase. Let me show you how this works. And so to go to a branding photo shoot, you're kind of going, well, what do I do? Right? I'm not bringing props per se. I'm not bringing my product. I'm not showing you what happens when you don't use my product, right? So it's finding those different ways to be creative. So that's super awesome on your side. What are some ways a coach, service-based industry entrepreneur, how do they get prepared or even know anything about branding? I feel that it's such a used word that a lot of us don't really understand. Do you mind explaining branding?
Sure. Well, branding, a lot of people think that is their logo or is their website or their company name, but it's more than that. Is if you work with an actual brand strategy, which I have when I rebranded my company a couple of years ago, I worked with a brand strategist and she helped me figure out what are my brand voice, what are my color palette. All of these kind of tie in together, and that's really your branding. But most importantly, I find that especially a coach or a solo entrepreneur, you are the brand. So you're showing up on video, talking in presentation, networking, all of that, just showing your face everywhere you go. That is your brand. The way you talk, the way you dress, everything about it. Now, a lot of people think, well, what do I talk about then? Even if I post a picture of like myself, what do I say? Well, people want to really get to know you. In order for them to trust you as a coach, before they even want to work with, they want to learn a little bit about who you are. What are your beliefs? What are your values? What do you have a family? If I'm hiring, say, a coach that works specifically with mompreneur, is she a mom? Right? I want to know that. So it's all about building that trust and relatability. Because if we don't show our face, you just have your logo or random stock images. They're great, but they don't really create that trust that much. I mean, if you go on Instagram and you see an account, they have a lot of followers, but all their photos are stock images. You don't know who you're working with. It's hard to build that trust. So I would say branding is really thinking about how you want to present yourself to your audience, to your ideal clients, so they want to work with you.
I like that last piece of how do you want to present yourself? I think that really sums up everything that you just said, right? We do branding, show up, show your values, show your beliefs, but how do you want to present yourself? How do you want your clients to look at you? I think is so important because we get really wrapped up in the stock videos. We get really wrapped up in doing another TikTok dance. We get really wrapped up in even just logos, like you're saying. And we get wrapped up on these things that we are told are important. And I'm not saying that they're not important. I'm assuming you agree with that, but it sounds like there's other things that are more important, like showing your face.
Definitely.
So for a lot of entrepreneurs, it can be scary to show up on camera. And you're sitting here saying, just show up, show me your kitchen, show me, show me everything you believe in. And just to take a selfie can be very scary for a lot of us. Do you have any tips or tricks that kind of just get maybe us started? How do we just even go, hi,
Yes, I hear you. I'm an introvert. The thought when I heard about personal branding when I first started, I started as a family photographer, and I was trying to find ways to put myself out there, and I didn't know how. And I stumbled into the whole personal branding world, and I had the same thought. Oh, I hate pictures of myself. Oh, I don't like the way I talk. What would people think of me? So yes, it's scary, but I've learned for these last few years that I started with the first webinar. It was terrible, but people are not there to see how you're dressed or whether you have great makeup on or your jewelry is perfect or everything is perfect. They are there because they like you. They want to learn from you. As long as you provide value, I heard this somewhere in one of the podcasts I was listening to. It's about public speaking. And I'm not good at public speaking at all, especially in high school. But the way he was saying was, if you show up and just think of the values you can give to the audience, whoever showed up for you to present something that is valuable to them, that's all that matters. So if you think about it that way, like you show up, you're recording a video, or you're taking a selfie of yourself because you have something important to say. If you think about that, it's not that scary. It's not as like, oh, I don't want to think about how I look and things like that. But it's all about changing your mindset in a way where you're showing up for your business, because nobody is going to advocate for your business more than you do. So if you think about that and you think about the value you can give to the audience who followed you, who loves you, that's all they care about. So one quick tip is that if you want to take a selfie, right? It's free lighting. Okay. Sunny day like this, stand in front of a window or open your door and just have enough like natural light into your home and face the light and take a selfie. Now, a lot of people take selfie, they either take too low or they take almost eye level, but you want to go a bit higher so that it's just a very flattering angle. And then if you don't like straightforward shot, most people don't. And a lot of people, when they do selfie, I do that sometimes. I'm doing this and then I tuck my chin in and you get that double chin. It happens to everyone. But what you want to do is you hold up the selfie and you almost like tilt your chin out a little bit, like the turtle coming out of its shell. Just a tiny bit. It's not a very big movement, but it makes a huge difference.
So a favorite part, just stop their car, they're writing things down because I'm thinking about, so as an entrepreneur, right, you go to your business events and sometimes you can't get the group picture and you can't showcase that you were just at XYZ company, right? So you stand outside and you take the picture. And I'm thinking about how I have struggled personally with these selfies. And you talked about lifting the camera up. I have lifted the camera up because I've been told the same thing.
Yeah.
And I then move my eyes to the camera. And so it's just me staring in the sky as myself.
Yeah, it's not like all the way up where you're like staring up there, but it's like a very slight higher up. No, it takes practice. Trust me. Like the first few times I did a selfie when I started my business, I have to do a lot of pictures of myself. And I said, oh my God, this looks terrible. Like I can't get the right angle. But the more you do it, it just gets easier. your favorite size, you know how the way you look, you know your favorite photo more than anyone else. So just keep practicing.
I love that. It's great. I think the best part, like you said, practice, obviously we know this, but I think also the value you kept saying is focus on the value you're bringing. And I think that's why we start a business. That's exactly why we start a business, is because we know the value we can bring in that category. So just hyper focusing on that part. And I think what got me through a lot of this too was realizing that anybody that we look up to now has started where we're at. You can look at anybody. You go to Jasmine Star, you go to Gary Vee, whoever Amy Porterfield, any of these people,
Mhm.
right? If you go back to their very first Instagram, their very first YouTube, they're doing exactly what we're doing, going, all background, back, and shaking and doing all the things. They started where we started.
Yep.
They didn't skip a step, right?
Mhm.
We look at them and where they're at now going, I want to be there. But if you think about it, like they talk about all the time, how it's been years to get to that level of confidence, to that level of speaking, things like that. So going back to that one word you said, is that patience, and
Mhm.
focusing on the value is really important.
Oh yeah, everything takes time, especially when we learn something new or when we want to do something new for our business. It takes time, it takes practice. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
for sure, for sure. And obviously we can go down the rabbit hole of just even just that
yeah,
practicing. What I wanted to know, knowing the very basics of a photographer, there's a lot that goes into it.
yes.
So, what do you think? How do you feel you manage the stress with your work and your everyday life?
Oh, with two young children, 6 and a 4-year-old, it's always a struggle. But I have this mantra: just take it day by day. Because you never know, one day they'll wake up and they're sick and they can't go to school, and you have a tons of meetings that you have to attend to. And I basically say, if my children, my family is always going to be priority for me. And this business is also important, but because I work with a lot of business owners, it's not like a wedding or an event. If I have a photo shoot, I'll find someone to watch my children. But if I have just a networking call or a networking in-person meeting, I just don't go. I just reschedule and explain the situation. And 99% of everyone, they're very understanding. Well, not 99, well, 100% of everyone, they're very understanding of what I'm going through. So before, when I first started, I've always thought that no, if I say yes to something, I have to show up no matter what. And that added so much unnecessary stress for me. But now I learned to say no more, and it had helped a lot. And of course, it's depending on the situation. It's not like, oh, I don't want to go, then I say no. No, if something happened that I can't physically go or I can't make it to a meeting, I'm just going to be honest and just email the person that I'm going to meet and say, hey, sorry, we have to reschedule, my children's are sick or my child is sick. So and if you're honest with it, I think they understand. They say, yeah, no problem. That had helped me figure out the balance of family life and work life. And in regards to planning for a photo shoot, it's always something that I make sure my schedule is clear to do client work and also do like family chores and things like that. So, and also work networking into it too.
So what I hear is setting boundaries.
Yes, that
Setting realistic boundaries and sticking with, going back to we were talking about before, is your values. Your values are your family. That is your priority. And so I think what you're showcasing is who you truly are. You're just being authentic when you're saying, my family is important, they're coming first. But you also have those boundaries of, you don't have to show up to everything. And as an entrepreneur, we're kind of told we have to keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up. And for sure, you need to go to these networking meetings. You need to do your one-on-one meetings. You have to do all those things in between. But learning what you're able to handle in that moment is so important as well. So it's that self-awareness piece too. So your values, your boundaries, your priorities, all of that's that self-awareness piece, which obviously, again, you're showcasing through your work and through your family. And you mentioned that work-life balance. It's not easy. It's not 50-50,
Yeah.
but having those standards makes it a little bit easier.
Oh yeah, yeah. Setting boundary and saying no had helped me a lot. It took years of changing that habit because we were always told growing up, no, you say yes to something or you promise people something, you have to do it. You have to keep to your words. But as I become business owner and learning all of this things, I can't be everywhere at once. We have to set some sort of boundaries, even with our client. Like you have paying client who some are very easy to work with and some requires more hand holding. But there still needs to be some sort of boundaries, right? Like they can't call you at midnight and asking for help and coaching. Like, Jessica, I'm stressed at midnight. Can you help me? No, there needs to be a boundary.
For sure. And like you said, it's that practice, it's patience, and it's learning. And you're right. We were taught growing up that you have to keep showing up. If you're sick, you still have to make the apple pie. If you're sick, you still have to do all these things. And I think what I've learned with this is when I call you and say, hey, Charissa, can't meet up today, family emergency, or whatever the case may be. And you're then able to do that back to me. I think it kind of opens those relationships up at a different level because we have that communication.
Exactly. Yep.
So, Charissa, before I let you go, we were already talking about this. The lightning round. Are you ready?
I am so ready.
Is there anything that you collect?
I collect magnets.
Mag-
Lots and lots of magnets. Every trip we go, or every time my family goes somewhere, they know to get me magnet from wherever they travel.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you prefer driving or flying?
Driving. I hate flying. Even though I love to go to Hawaii and go travel area, I hate the process of flying. So I prefer driving.
Flying can be such a hassle. I get the convenience of just getting there quickly, but the terminal, all of that, I just sense stress.
Everything. And I come from Malaysia. So like to fly back to Malaysia is a 22-hour flight. It's a long flight. I mean, I haven't been back since 2010. I want to go back, but every time I think about that flight, that gives me stress.
No, thank you. You kind of answered this before, but let's let the listeners know.
Sure.
You learn by watching or by doing?
Watching. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I also find that learning through listening, like listening to podcasts, things like that, I retain better information.
And do you like fresh food or fried food more?
Ooh, fried food, unfortunately. I like fruits. Not so much vegetable. I don't eat as much vegetable as I should. But yeah, I would always go for that fried food.
So good. It's just,
Yeah.
it just takes away your stress, you know?
Yeah. It's a treat. I just always tell myself it's a treat.
Watch that work-life balance, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Krista, what is the one thing you want the listeners to take away today?
I want them to take away one thing is that just show up, take a picture of yourself. If you don't have the funds to work with a photographer, the cell phone nowadays, they're in such great quality. Set it up on a tripod, ask a family or friend, and take a nice picture of yourself. One thing that I can ask everyone to do, if you don't have a good headshot, go out there, get a good headshot with your cell phone, upload it. And there are tons of free apps to edit your photo. Canva even can edit your photo. There's an option to edit your photos there. And you can just do something very simple, just upload a very nice picture of your headshot and put them everywhere. Especially if you're a business owner, you want to put it everywhere. Your personal page, your business page, all the same headshot. That way it's consistent and people can find you everywhere.
Perfect. So for the listener that's in the New Jersey arena, they have the funds, they're ready to make that next step to hire you, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
They can head over to my website. It's carissahyoungphotography.com. There's a contact form. There's even a link to schedule a free consultation with me. And we'll just get to know each other and learn about what are their goals for their photo shoot.
Charissa, thanks so much for making the time out and connecting with me today.
Thank you so much, Jessica.